Welcome back to Too Much Plaque to Handle. We already talked about the OPAs, kind of the intro in that last one. And now we're going to continue the conversation because there's been some developments, particularly in the state that Cheyenne has been working at. But my name is Dr. Hannah Price. I'm a periodontist, and this is Cheyenne. She is a registered hygienist. She's been working for quite a while now, so she's still teaching me stuff too. But we are talking about the hot debate in the hygiene and perio world right now with the OPA dental assistants. And today we're going to really talk about some of the new developments with some legislation. There's been some backlash involved with particularly Virginia in a video that was posted with a general dentist that has since been taken down. So we're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
He is the Virginia dental assistant president-elect, and it did not go well.
Yeah, so we actually have that video
Wait. I said
Pres-
Virginia dental assistant. Virginia Dental Association.
There we go.
And it did not go well.
It did not go
It went
well.
very bad.
It backfired, I think. Yes, but we actually have a screen recording of that video. So check us out on TikTok and Hannah DMD and Cheyenne RDH, because we are going to pull up that video and we're going to go through it. So if you guys want to check it out, head over to TikTok and we're going to kind of deep dive into that video. So hang out with us today and we're going to talk a little bit more about the OPA and what's going on right now with some current updates.
If you're a hygienist, patient, or dentist, or any medical provider in Virginia, you need to listen up, look up the laws, and you need to contact your legislatures. It's not that hard. It sounds like I don't even know who my legislatures are. There's a website that you just type in who are my legislatures. Google will find it. Please, for your patient safety, contact your legislatures. And if you're not in Virginia, please just keep up with your own state legislation, because this is not just in the states we're talking about. Many states it is going to be coming to legislation.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that we're going to continue to follow.
Did y'all learn a lot about perio abscess in general dental school?
No, you kidding me? Hell no.
So, because in hygiene school, we learned a ton about perio abscess. And so when I very first started practicing, because in hygiene school, first of all, they scare you to death. They scare the life out of you. You're just going to kill somebody. When I started practicing, straight out of the gate, that dentist that I worked with, he, it's a patient, 9mm pockets, whatever, suppuration everywhere, bleeding everywhere.
Suppuration.
Calculus all over the x-rays. And he's like, just do a prophy. And I was like, I'm not doing a prophy because I'm going to give them a freaking abscess. And he was like, what are you even talking about? And I'm like, sir, I'm not. I ain't the one. Because if I only go right around the collar of tissue and I'm not going under there, and then that tissue
Closes.
shrinks over top of it, I'm like, what do you mean?
Where's that bacteria going to go?
So whenever I've mentioned to general dentists perio abscess, they always look at me like I have two heads. And I'm like, hello? And so
there's two different types of abscesses, endodontic and perio.
Yeah.
They're different.
And so, I'm like, that just goes to show, yes, dentists have so much training. Dentists have a wealth of knowledge about a lot of stuff. All I know, well, not all I know, but all I was trained was perio.
Literally.
So I'm like, why? First of all, hygienists should be self-regulated. Nurses are self-regulated. Every other medical profession is self-regulated except for hygienists. We are regulated by the dental board. On top of that, our training is so different. Why would we agree on some of this stuff, honestly? Because I'm trying to tell you the stuff about a bone defect, a perio abscess, the etiology of something, where it's coming from, mal and potty score. I'm probing them, like I'm trying to connect the dots here. And you just come in and go, you look good, bah. What do you mean? Did you not see the blood? I left it there for you. You didn't see the blood? What do you mean they look good? And I mean, I've had patients that, prime example. My sister, she gives me permission to talk about this. This is not a HIPAA violation. She's a nurse, by the way. My
Disclaimer.
sister is my patient. I know. My sister gives me all the permission in the world to talk about her now. My sister is my patient. She's been my patient ever since I've been in hygiene school. Well, I took a pan on her, and she had an area sort of under her ear on her pan that looked like a calcification. She told me that in that same ear, she hears her heartbeat constantly. So I give her the pan. I printed it, circled it, wrote a note, sent her to her primary care, and was like, she needs like an ultrasound. She goes to her primary care. The primary care is like, so your dentist told you this? And she said, no, my hygienist did. And they're like, first of all, they're floored. They're just like, what? Well, then she gets an ultrasound. Ultrasound leads to an MRI. MRI leads to another MRI. She has venous stenosis. Not only there, they found it in her brain. She was just diagnosed with intracranial hypertension.
Shit.
Me. I started this. No one else said anything to her. So I'm like, I'm not saying that dentists don't have a lot of knowledge, but I think hygienists are in a position where we are looking at all parts. We're with someone all the time. And someone can tell me, I'm having this chronic cough all the time. I don't know why. And then I look at their medication list and I'm like, it's this cholesterol medication you're on. One of the side effects actually it causes a chronic cough. And they're like, nobody has told me this.
Or like ACE
And I'm like,
inhibitors.
yeah. And I'm like, we're sitting here looking at all of these parts like a puzzle, and we have the time to put it together. And dentists are running in and out. I mean, they don't have the time to do that, and they're not supposed to. I mean, they have to do the restorative aspect. We're fully like prevention in the mouth, but prevention in the body. I mean, I talk to people all day long. We've talked about it, diabetes and perio, like all of the links that go together with perio. They're linking cancer and Alzheimer's and I mean, I've
Heart
seen
disease,
patients
kidney
literally.
disease, hypertension.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's not like an attack on dentists when we say we know something or when we catch something that they didn't. It is literally medical collaboration.
It's like me sending a medical consult to a cardiologist. They're going to know stuff different than me. It's a different specialty in the dental field. Hygienists are a specialist in the dental field. They're a specialist in perio, in preventative care. And I'm not going to know the same things as another specialist. Like me going to the orthodontist, they go super into depth of the physics behind orthodontic movements and all of that. The eye that goes over my head. Me and physics don't get along, but
I love physics.
Yeah,
I actually really like physics.
it's fascinating, but my brain somehow is not like physically like wired for physics. So I go to them if I have questions about ortho. They're a specialist in ortho. I collaborate with them. A hygienist is also a specialist in the periodontium. A periodontist is. And that took me a second. I was like, wait, what am I? I'm a periodontist. A long week, okay. We collaborate because we see stuff differently. What you might see and what I see is going to be different because we do have different scopes. I am more in depth. Obviously, I don't think you know about Page and Schroeder of 1976, but I mean, who knows? Maybe you do.
Don't know her.
But it's that collaboration that GPs sometimes I feel like they lose sight of that collaboration, even with other specialists, not just perio, but with ortho. I have so many general dentist friends. I think general dentists are fantastic. And I don't want this to come off as like I'm trying to bash GPs. That is not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it aware that general dentists need more collaboration because they try to do everything sometimes and stuff just gets lost in the sauce. And that's when patient care deteriorates and patients aren't getting the care that they need because a general dentist thinks that they can handle a case that is maybe too complex for them to handle. Whether that be an ortho case or a perio case or an extraction case or something else like a root canal or a bunch of like a full mouth rehabilitation case that maybe would best be suited for a prosthodontist.
I have seen a lot of GPs or known a lot of GPs who do all on X cases. They'll have an OS do the implants and then the GP do the restorative. And I'm just like, why?
They're big
It's a
cases.
big it's a big case.
There's a
And I'm
lot that
like,
goes into
I mean,
them.
I've seen some of them. I mean, I just feel like, and this is me seeing the hygiene aspect of it, like patients, really a lot of them do not take the best care of implants. And I'm like, if you think about it, because this is what I think of, most of the population, if you ended up to the point of needing all on X, there was a reason. And if you cannot change the habits that got you there, you're going to lose the implants too.
So, for reference for people listening, an all on X case is a very big interdisciplinary case of like full mouth extractions. The patient is completely edentulous, so no teeth remain. There are multiple implants that are placed on either arch, whether it's the top or the bottom, typically in the range of 4 to 6 implants per arch. And then a restorative specialist, typically a prosthodontist, is doing big cases like this. There are some GPs that will handle cases like this, but they are very challenging and there's a lot that goes into them. And they will make a prosthetic that actually screws into the implants so that it doesn't come out like a conventional denture prosthetic would. So that's why we call these all on X cases, because they're like all on 4 or all on 6, which is the reference to how many implants we use. So as a periodontist, we do these cases. We collaborate with restorative. Obviously, we don't do the restorative portion, but we'll place the implants. We'll set the patient up for success. But I think the issue that Cheyenne's getting at is that these patients, there's a reason they're losing all their teeth in the first place. Usually it's due to either caries, so cavities, or periodontal disease. And the risk of getting peri-implantitis, which is basically the same thing as periodontal disease around an implant, after you've already had periodontal disease, is like 7 times higher of a failure risk for those implants if you've already previously been diagnosed with periodontal disease, because you have those pathogens and you're susceptible to those pathogens. We're starting to see, because there's been such a, here recently, I think not as much anymore. There was a huge all-on-X push maybe about 3-4 years ago. But now we're starting to see the damage and the ramifications of people taking out perfectly good teeth that could have been saved with perio. They thought that they were hopeless because they were perio involved, and they didn't send them to a periodontist to see what they could do. And now we're taking out these implants because these implants are extremely infected. These cases are $40,000 for one arch. So if you're doing your full mouth, we're talking $80,000 to $100,000 in dental work. Like, that's insane. And now it's failing because it either wasn't done properly or it wasn't taken care of properly, and it's not being cleaned properly. And we need to come up, I think really hygienists and periodontists should be collaborating in this regards with implants, because we're starting to see so many implants fail right now. Like, how do we go about cleaning these prosthetics? Because these things are screwed in, they don't come out. So it's a food trap. I mean, food's just getting packed underneath these things. And patients can't clean around these implants. So we're literally taking out implants that were placed 3 years ago because there's just no bone around them and they're so infected because there's so much plaque and bacteria that the patient can't even have a prayer of cleaning. So there's my all next like tangent.
And that just shows how many different types of cases that you see as a hygienist, as a dentist, as a specialist. You see all these different types of patients and different cases every day. I just can't imagine it being meaningfully helpful in access to care, expanding assistance somewhat into the realm of hygiene because 99% of the patients I see have generalized gingivitis to periodontitis, decay everywhere, or very medically compromised. And those are the limitations on it that they're listing in these states. And so I'm like, okay, how is this going to help unless it gets abused?
They're not going to follow those limitations. That's the problem. They're going to be like, oh, they just got a little bit of bleeding. They're fine. Go ahead and just do it. And they're gonna be like, well, it's a little bit of a gingivitis case, and I guarantee you, so much perio is gonna get undetected, undiagnosed.
Yeah. And I mean, in the best of circumstances, across the board, perio already is neglected in the
100%.
best of circumstances.
There was a paper that just came out not long ago was saying like 50% of the population is perio. And they even state in the discussion that that is grossly underestimating from
Mhm.
just the NHANES research that they pulled from. So it's like
Yeah.
50% is grossly underestimating how many people actually have periodontal disease.
Yeah. Because it's like, I mean, in the perfect world where you only ever see hygienists and dentists, you still can slide under the radar and be neglected in that aspect. And that is with licensed board certified providers. So to then take the already not always held up standard and drop it, it kind of sickens me. Like to think of my patients and what I do for my patients. I mean, not every patient in the world has liked me. A lot of times, the patients who don't like me, it's because I'm trying to heavily educate them on the disease process, how the disease relates to the rest of the body, and they just want a prophy. They just want the free insurance cleaning.
Did you see that TikTok of the guy talking about shopping? Like patients shopping for a provider who will actually do what they want, not what they need?
Mm,
I don't know if you saw that. I commented on it and there was a lot of people that were like, you're being judgmental because I was like, they're shopping for a provider because they don't want to
mhm,
actually be like, well, it's all about the cost. And I'm like, it's not about the cost. It's about the treatment. I can't legally charge out treatment that a
mhm,
patient cannot have. It's not about the cost. It's about the patient getting the care that they need. And this one lady was just being very rude and was like just going off on me about how I'm being judgmental to them. And I'm like, that's my job is to judge my patients and to tell them what is wrong. It is neglect if I sit here
right.
and sugarcoat it and tell them everything is okay when it's not. That is my job to tell you, you have disease and infection in your mouth that is now going all over your body. I can't sit here and tell you, you're fine. I can give you just a basic healthy mouth cleaning. That's not how this works. And I of course say that to the patient very respectfully and empathetically, but I've had some patients where I've had to be very blunt with them and be like, I'm sorry, like you are going to lose your teeth. And those conversations are hard to have. I'll be like, unless you want to do the treatment, which I'm not going to force anybody to do treatment that they don't want to do. But there are consequences. Obviously, there's consequences because you're already here, but there are further consequences if you don't take control of your health and your body. And usually those consequences are you're no longer going to have any teeth. And then you're going to be eating with dentures. So now you're going to have digestive issues because you can't chew your food properly. So now You have gut health issues, which then can turn into chronic inflammation issues, which then can exacerbate whole other issues. Like people don't understand how important your teeth are. And the people in these comments that are just like, oh, it's about the cost or you're being mean by talking to your patient. I'm like, it's not, I'm being mean. You're not going to go to a cardiologist and say, don't tell me I'm having a heart attack. Like, you're not going to come to me as a periodontist and say, don't tell me I don't have periodontal disease. Just give me, just give me the basic cleaning. Like the cardiologist would tell you to go pound sand. You'd be like, you had a heart attack. You need to do XYZ. Otherwise, you're going to die. Literally. You know what? Periodontal disease can kill you. People don't understand that. Periodontal disease can literally kill you.
Well, like when you say chronic inflammation issues, literally a risk factor for cancer, chronic repetitive inflammation.
Bingo.
And so that, I mean, in general, that's another thing. Cancer screenings. I do cancer screenings.
Pathology in the mouth is huge.
I've only worked with one dentist, maybe two, who did full cancer screenings. Like, we're feeling the lymph nodes, the thyroid, like all of that. So, I mean, I'm doing that. Then you mentioned cost. People talk about cost of healthcare is high. Currently, with the OPA model, to my understanding, the same codes are going to be charged out, like the Profi, whatever. And so the cost is not going to decrease for people. On the flip side, though, because insurance is insurance, I imagine charging the same code and it not actually being from a provider. I feel like at some point down the road, insurance is going to find a way to reimburse less.
100%.
If it's
or not at all.
So then, so then that's going to cause an issue when already dentists are screaming from the mountaintops that hygienists have priced themselves out because they're getting paid more than insurance reimburses. I'm like, okay, so what if insurance stops reimbursing? And for refs, because I'm in Virginia, Nova is not me. I don't live in Nova. I don't make Nova money. Before everybody comes for me and says, "Oh, well, you're just making all the money in the world." I'm not one of the Nova, and don't get me wrong, like the cost of living in Nova is insane. So it makes sense that they make a lot more money than me. Like I live in a really low cost of living area. But I mean, the video that I sent you, the VDA president, they made a lot of comments that were very condescending. But one of the things they said was, I don't understand why hygienists are even stressed out because they make all this money. In Virginia, they make minimum $55 an hour. And, they're stressed out for what? For doing their job. The comments, because it wasn't just one or two, multiple people in the comments that are hygienists all said they don't even make close to 55. And I'm like, "Sir, you are from Nova. You are
Mm.
from Nova. Think about the rest of the whole state because most of the state is rural." And I'm like, I don't even know. I know one hygienist that makes 45. I don't know anybody who makes over 45. And so I'm like, you're generalizing a whole entire state and we're not even all making that kind of money. You're saying the reimbursement is less than what hygienists are making, so we need to expand access to care. So we need to add OPAs. Okay, well, all the assistants I know have also said they're not going to scale unless they get hygiene money. And then the other half don't want to do it at all, anyways. So
I've
you're
noticed
not,
that there's a lot of DAs who are like, I don't even want to do this. Like DAs are already
yeah,
busy enough. You're just adding something else. I got
yeah.
ran into the ground as a dental assistant. You think I want to sit there and scale? It means you're gonna have to hire another dental assistant. What? And then what doctor is gonna do that? Now you're paying somebody else. It doesn't make sense.
And each state has limitations on supervision for dentists. So, like, Virginia, you can only supervise up to 4 hygienists and or like DA2 or FDAs at once. So say you have 2 hygienists, you can only have 2 FDAs, or 3 hygienists, you could have 1 FDA. Well, OPAs are gonna fall under that supervisionary role. So then on top of that, I'm like, yeah, you're gonna hire another person to do this, or send one of your own to do this and hire another assistant to be your assistant. And at some point, you're gonna be supervising too many people because there's a cap on that also. So I just don't see how this even can help. And then on top of that, the people who need the access to care are mostly Medicaid. No dentist in my town takes Medicaid for adults. And adding an OPA is not going to change that.
A
So
lot
it's
of
still
providers
not
don't.
helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly, the only
Don't,
Medicaid providers are like schools.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, I've had that conversation with people. People have asked me why nobody takes it. And I'm like, because the reimbursement is so low, you will literally end up like closing business because you either have to see so many people that you are ran into the ground, everyone's ran into the ground to break even, or you're losing money every hour. You're losing money.
I mean, the reimbursement
And
rate's what, like $5, $6 or something? It's like stupid for like a prophy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They just decide. They're just like, oh, your prophy is $80, we'll give you 5. Like, yeah, nobody nobody can take that and keep a business open. So like, while I understand the side of like why a lot of dentists don't take it, don't sit here and frame it in an aspect of like, certain states are saying OPAs will only see Medicaid, low income, whatever. Okay, but the dentist has to see that. And if there's not dentists that are seeing that, the OPA isn't seeing that. And that is still that whole population still doesn't have access to care. It's not changing anything. Or they're saying to have outreach in rural areas. My town, most of the dentists here are retirement age. A lot of the dentists that were here have retired, passed away. Nobody replaced them. Like, there's not a draw in, there's not an incentive to get more providers into these rural areas. And if they're not there to begin with, the OPA can't be with them. So it's still not accessing care.
Yeah, it's not fixing the problem that we're assuming this is what they're trying to solve, but I feel like there's an underlying agenda. I think they're trying to push out hygienists a little bit. I mean, it's what it kind of feels like, and that they're trying to not pay as much to do a job. But with these limitations on the OPAs, people just aren't thinking about this long term and like what the actual like business model is going to entail. Not only that, but they're not thinking about the patient care at all. They're looking at it
Yeah.
too much from a business standpoint and not from a clinical standpoint, which
Right.
is, as clinicians, should be our number one priority. Business,
Yeah.
yes, it is important when it comes to our careers. We have to obviously keep the lights on to even be able to see patients. Like, we have to make some sort of financials. Otherwise, like my loan, I've got a ton of student loans. Like, my career was an investment to myself, and like I got to be able to pay that back somehow. But
Mhm.
I need to be able to help patients. And this is not really solving what I think they think it's going to actually solve. I think it's going to just create more opportunity for there to be lawsuits, malpractice. Patients aren't going to get the care that they need. We're going to see rampant perio. And I think maybe being a periodontist might be a good thing because we're going to get all the perio patients. I mean, there's still going to be hygienists, but I feel like these OPAs, if it starts to gain traction, what is going to happen to hygienists? Because what if they start
Yeah.
expanding? I mean, I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just to get the foot in the door. Okay, so they finally get it in. Now they start expanding, be like, oh, well, now they can do subgingival scaling. Oh, they can do a little bit of this or a little bit of that. Now, like, Virginia, oh, we'll let them use Cavitrons and piezo's. Like, where does that limitation stop? When do they stop expanding those limitations?
Think it makes more sense. Like F does make sense to me. Like dentist, hop back and forth, drill the decay out, or like prep the crown and then the assistant makes the temp. Like that is directly helping the dentist still, and it is still what assistants see on a regular basis. They constantly see the restorative, so it makes sense to maybe expand them into restorative so you get EFTAs. Hygiene and assisting have almost nothing in common.
No,
It is not the same job.
no.
I mean, and I think too, like, I see constantly on the side of things where I have seen assistants say, like, oh, I can do this, like, I'm educated. It's not an attack on you being educated. It is that it is educated in very separate spaces. A lot of people that I've seen that are assistants that are in hygiene school, I have students that are assistants that are in hygiene school. I was an assistant that went to hygiene school. Like, it is so completely different. And everyone who is a hygienist who was once an assistant all agree on that. It is so different. And that is
Yes,
not saying don't go and be a hygienist if you want to be. Go to hygiene school. Like, nobody's telling you that you can't do this. There just is a safe, accredited, licensed pathway
that's the key
to
word.
do it.
Keyword,
I don't understand.
licensed.
My thing too is where is CODA at on all this? 'Cause
Really good
CODA
question.
so heavily regulates hygiene education, dental education.
Yeah,
Why is CODA not speaking up?
we should
I
do
would
some
think they would have
research.
something to say.
Let me
What the
look it up.
where is CODA at?
CODA.
CODA, where are you? Because none of this is accredited. None of it is originally, that was something that changed in Arizona. Originally, Arizona said they would have to create a CODA accredited pathway to be an OPA, and then they took the CODA accreditation out of it after it was passed. So,
Interesting. There's been no direct public statement from the Commission on Dental Accreditation, so CODA, explicitly endorsing or condemning the specific oral preventative assistant model. However, CODA's role is to ensure quality education, and the controversy surrounding OPAs often centers on whether they must graduate from a CODA accredited program. So CODA has not said anything yet, which I'm very surprised. Yeah, but it's interesting. The American
it
Dental Hygienists Association, their first sentence on like Google, where it says oral preventive assistance, it said the DHA strongly opposes the OPA model. Policymakers should reject these proposals to allow unlicensed individuals to perform care.
I mean, truly, in a way, it is legalizing medical neglect.
Yeah, basically, actually. Yeah, there's no CODA statement though. They have not taken a side, which is very interesting. The
But it just goes to show, like, the people that you would think would stand up and fight against this, where are they at? They're not here. The only, like, the most outspoken people on this is the Hygienist Association, and some hygienists started a group called, I think it's, Oral Prevention Awareness or, like, oral they started another group because, to be honest, they weren't, like, fully satisfied with the Hygienist Association because they felt like they weren't doing enough.
mm,
So this group band together, raised money to start an ad campaign just solely on informing the public about this. Because if the public doesn't know, they don't care. They don't know, they don't care. Like, I have a lot of patients that have asked me over the years, "Did you have to go to school for this?" They don't know what we do. They don't
no, they
know our
don't.
back. So I'm like, it's just raising awareness with the public. They made a big push for that. which I think is good. I think it's a very
That's
smart
great.
thing to do
Yeah, it's
because,
really good.
I mean, when the public you think about who is, like, kind of an idolized healthcare profession to the public? Nurses. Nurses made a big push several decades ago to break away, give themselves autonomy on their profession, and making the public really aware of what they do. And so, now nurses are like very highly like held in high regard, and they should be. But like then you think of dentistry, nobody knows what we do. Nobody like
I
half the
mean,
time people think I'm an assistant. People think an assistant is the dentist. People think the dentist is the assistant. People think, I'm the dentist.
they
I
think
mean,
that
nobody knows the
dentists aren't
difference.
real doctors. So this
Mhm.
is the stigma from like medical care and dentistry. I know we've talked about this before, but it's like that connection is just
It's not
fragmented.
it's
Yeah,
not there.
it's not there.
Mhm.
So you think that regular people, I mean, they don't even consider a dentist to be a real doctor when I'm like, I'm literally drilling into your head. But you think they don't know what I do, let alone what a
Mhm.
hygienist does. So it's like all of this information that's coming out, a lot of people just don't understand. So like you said, bringing awareness to the scope of hygienists, the amount of training, like I admitted this earlier on in the podcast. I had no idea before, like how much training went behind hygiene. Making everybody aware of what's going on is going to be the key to stopping this nonsense. Like the hygienists are going to get the credit that they deserve. And they're not just going to be, oh, you just scale teeth because we think we can replace you with an OPA. That's not what
Yeah.
this is. There's so much more that goes into it. This is not just scaling and polishing and flossing. And they just don't see that. And even these general dentists who are voting for this stuff, they don't see it because they honestly, they're ignorant and they just don't understand it. So it's like, how do we make them
Um,
understand it?
right. Well, I think a lot of them know to an extent, not necessarily all of our background training, but like I think a lot of them know what this is about and know that this is not standard of care. And I think there's a big conflict of interest when the ADA, the VDA, all the state dental boards like are pushing for this. If we agreed that it was standard of care, then the hygienist associations would agree. Why are you not asking why are the hygienists so headstrong about this? Because if you ask us, we're trying to protect our patients. Like, I mean, when I tell you my ethics teacher scared the crap out of me in school, I mean, like, she scared the freaking life out of me. I had nightmares that, like, my license got revoked, that the school came back and revoked my diploma. I mean,
Gosh.
so it's like you look at these court cases and stuff, and I'm like, these are the best of circumstances. These are in places where there aren't OPAs. These are hygienists. These are dentists. These are specialists. Like, these are the licensed ones end up in litigation.
More than you think.
And that's with, it's a lot. It is a lot. I mean, if
Over the
I don't
stupidest
know how it is
reasons,
for
too.
like, I don't know how it is like in your states where you're licensed, but in Virginia, like I get a quarterly like progress thing from the Virginia Dental Board, and it'll list out all the people that are in litigation that are licensed. And it'll list out like the amount of people that had their license revoked, their names, people who had their license reinstated, why they lost it. Like they show all that stuff. Someone I used to work with was in one of those emails. And so I'm like, and it was a hygienist. And so I'm like, it happens. It happens all the time. OPAs are not going to be protected. There's going to be a lot more litigation. And when patients do figure out what is going on, the ones who are sue happy,
Are going to be. They're not going to be
and
happy.
I'm like, there is no evidence. Any of the states that have this model, there has been no change. Alabama. Have you heard about Alabama's? Uh, it's the Alabama Dental Hygiene. What is it called? Alabama Dental Hygiene Program, I think. In the 1950s, they made this kind of modified pathway to becoming a hygienist. You have to be a dental assistant, and then you do like didactic training for I think 10 months and hands-on training a little bit. And then the dentist at the office you're an assistant at is supposed to do most of your hands-on training with you. First of all, when do they have time for that? And
Never.
then and then you're licensed as a hygienist only in Alabama. And when I say only in Alabama, like, yes, there aren't any states that have reciprocity where, like, you're licensed here, you can work there yet. But if you're licensed in Alabama through that model and you want to move anywhere else and be a hygienist, you have to go to hygiene school because it's not, and it's not CODA accredited.
But that
So
tells
you can,
you that they don't think that it's valid. So everywhere else in the country, if
mhm,
you go somewhere else, they think that
they
your
won't accept it.
education, yeah, your education is not up to par.
Now, something interesting about this that I found, because like there has literally been no improved access to care in Alabama, no improved dental health in Alabama. You have to work under direct supervision. So, dentist has to be on site. If there's not a hygienist in a rural town or like a dentist in a rural town, then the hygienist can't be there. It didn't help with any shortages. This has been around, this in Alabama has been since the 1950s. Out of 50 states, Alabama ranks 43rd in dental health. And they're the only state that does this model. South Carolina tried to pass it, and it got shot down.
I didn't know South Carolina tried to pass it.
Mhm.
How
Yeah, it was,
long
like,
ago?
24, I
So not
think.
long ago.
They
Hmm.
tried to model after Alabama to increase
Hmm.
access to care, because all of this is access to
Access
care,
to care.
and it did get shot down in legislation, it didn't pass. But Alabama's had it for that long, and it hasn't that long, 1950s, and it hasn't helped access to care. Missouri has had their pilot program for a year-ish, and they haven't shown it's helped access to care. So, I mean, if we know that this isn't helping access to care, why are we still doing it?
It's a very good question. Like, what are the motives behind it? There has to be some sort of ulterior motives that we're just not. I mean, we can guess at them, but there's something else. There's behind the scenes something going on. This has been very enlightening. So this has been an interesting conversation, and I'm sure we could talk forever on it. We've already spent almost 2 hours on it. That's gonna be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Legitimately,
Well, I don't know when they vote on this stuff, like final vote on this stuff, but I
hmm
swear to God, if they pass the Cavitrons, I don't want to see a single dentist complain that their assistant ruined someone's teeth. I don't want to see a single one of them say a literal word.
they're gonna be doing so many crowns and fillings for free.
That was episode, what is this now? 6?
Six,
That'll be 6.
6
Too much plaque to handle. And I think that this has been and will be too much plaque to handle
for OPAs.
for OPA. Oh gosh.
Well, it's been an interesting conversation that we've had today, and this is definitely a developing story that we're going to continue to monitor because this is information that everyone needs to know. And so, like Shan was saying earlier, if you live in these states where they're starting to look into doing these certain regulations or laws with OPAs or other hygienists and dentists and all this stuff, so pay attention to what's going on, because this doesn't just affect the people of the dental world, it also affects our patients and people of the medical world. So this can be a pretty big power shift that we're watching right now. So if you guys want to follow along, make sure to follow us on TikTok. We Hannah DMD and Cheyenne RDH. We also have our YouTube Too Much Plaque to Handle podcast. We are on Spotify as well. So don't forget to hit that follow button and make sure that you stay tuned for some of the updates that we're going to bring to you. I think next one, we're going to talk more about the oral systemic link and how it gets missed a lot in the medical world. So that's going to be a pretty in-depth educational one. So this one was more of a conversation of what was going on. So stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be a lot of a deep dive into perio and the oral systemic link.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
I love it.